All right. Bring this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. Looking for an adoption of the agenda. Adopted by Councillor Cutler. All in favor? Passed. Looking for an adoption of the regular meeting minutes from July 18th, 2022. Moved by Councillor Schlossberger. All in favor? Great. Moving on to our delegations, we have the Claresholm RCMP detachment, Corporal Christian Lafleur, for our Q1 policing report. Welcome. Thanks for coming in.
The first part of the report is the joint business plan focusing on 6 priorities. First one is enhancing engagement and communication with communities and stakeholders. Trying to engage with the communities such as Claresholm to develop policing priorities that suit your needs. They're community-led and enhancing communication about matters related to local policing services. So part of that, I'll ask a question at the end of the report to see if what we're doing so far is meeting your needs and what better I can do to deliver those. Community safety and well-being, working with partners in an integrated, multifaceted manner to interrupt the cycle of crime and victimization. That would be more like participating with some of the specialized units that we have. Indigenous communities, strengthening relationships, working together in support of reconciliation, which is a big thing in Alberta, and responding to the needs of Indigenous communities in Alberta. Equity, diversity, and inclusion, promoting inclusion and building trust with diverse communities by addressing the behaviors that threaten their sense of safety and belongings. Crime reduction and understanding the drivers of crime, focusing on priority offenders to increase community safety. And finally, enhancing the service delivery, ensuring that these models that we have in place and the strategies are effectively meeting your needs. Again, I'll be talking about that further down in the report to see if what can be done to improve. The meat of the report is like the priority one, which would be road safety. In the Q1 results, there was a total of 63 speeding interventions, including 55 speed tickets, 6 written warnings, 1 dangerous driving, and 1 flight from police. Speeding and intervention, unfortunately, are below target. A total of 5 impaired related enforcement were done in the first quarter, which were all provincial sanctions of various type. We're moving away from criminal code impaired investigation towards a provincial model, which we found is a better deterrent, takes away from the court, and has better effect. Like I said, unfortunately, impaired interventions are below target. Part of that reason is that not all of my guys are trained into, for example, the ESD, which is a crucial part. So we're bringing the training on board to get everybody trained. We're also, I'm going to make it mandatory that for every traffic stop, we do the breadth demand or the mass demand, which will increase or hopefully increase our level, depending on how you look at it, I guess, hopefully or not. Crime reduction, a total of 8 compliance checks were done in the first quarter, which was below target. A total of 12 media release with awareness messaging were done, which is the year-end target. Such messages will continue. Operation Street Sweep commenced with multiple arrests and charges and was considered a success. So the compliance checks were basically limited to the number of offenders that we have that we can actually go. Right now we have 2, so it's going to be hard to meet our numbers just because there's only 2 people. Not a bad thing. The street sweep, we're due for one. We're looking at organizing another one, and that's where we go out and anybody that we have on warrants in the area, we go actively look for them, and we'll create shifts. Just that's the objective of the shift. Go out, look for these people, bring them in. So we're hoping that the next one will also be a success. Priority 3 is communicate effectively. The detachment conducted a total of 17 foot patrol in the first quarter, various locations including alley, street park, and PR events. Foot patrols are above target. Most of my guys seem to really enjoy those and communicating with the public and interacting, which also brings us to the other priorities that we're trying to get better at. A total of 6 enhanced shifts were run in the first quarter on crime suppression and PR events, so that met the annual target. A total of 1 presentation, mock disaster to a school, 3 presentation, intimate image to school, and 18 meetings occurred in Q1, which exceeded the annual target. Drug enforcement, a total of 2 drug enforcement or investigations were ongoing. 0 drug enforcement occurred, unfortunately. We've got some better results in the last month. Drug enforcements are considered below target at this point. We're going to work on improving those. We're aggressively addressing the drug-related training. Like I said before, part of my background is drug enforcement or drug investigations, so I'm hoping to be able to train the members here, most of which are fairly new, to get them interested in that area. Total of 11 training exposures occurred, which is considered well above target. The next one is the crime. Do you want me to go through the statistics, or?
If you have any key points that you'd like to go over, we're happy to hear. Otherwise, we're able to also read and.
Okay.
So if there's any area of focus.
You look at the numbers, and they're kind of misleading, in a sense that there is so little. The numbers are so low that even a 1 occurrence will just drive the numbers way up. So like I said, they're misleading. The numbers are, I've never seen lower numbers this low before. So
It's a good thing.
it's a good thing. It's a good thing. We're going to work on trying to make them even lower. I took the liberty of looking at on top of these numbers, looking at what happened in the last 30 days since I've been here. The biggest calls for service we have are traffic. Obviously, with the highway going through the town, the speeding and so on, that is by far the biggest numbers of call for service that we have. So we'll focus on that as well, which I believe is one of the town's priority. So, drug offense, we have some, but it's not really on the trafficking side. It's more the consumer side. So we're also getting calls on that. We'll address that. Bylaws, we're working closer with bylaw now than we were before. A lot of them are either disturbance of the conveyors, campgrounds, or in town, trespassing act. So we're working with them, trying to get them more files. That is their focus. So. Out of the staffing positions that we have 7 constables in Claresholm. We're losing one, unfortunately, on the 24th. He's been offered a letter of employment from the Ottawa Police Service, so he's going. So we're going to be trying to get a new constable here. I'm hoping that it's going to be a trained person. I made arrangement and indicate that's what I'd prefer versus somebody that comes right out of the depot. So however long that takes, that I have no idea, unfortunately. Next page is the provincial crime gauge, which is for the whole area here, not just Claresholm. Again, the numbers are so low, as I said before, like one accident just makes it look like it's horrible, but it's not. A 2% crime increase in person crime really is, we're maybe talking about 1 event more than the previous. So, one thing that, and I'll talk about that later, there's a 29% increase in the last quarter on break and enter. Again, 5 more instances, which seems to be a little high. We've got, and I'll have to go with numbers here, but on break and enters, we've got 10 instances in the last 30 days. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason, so we're going to look into it a little closer. In some cases, just opportunity. A shed's open, somebody goes in, takes a look, moves some stuff, walks out, nothing's taken. So we've had quite a few of those, and then we've also had some meaningful one, like the pharmacy and the jewelry store in the last 30 days. So we're looking at that closer to see if we can get suspect. One of the things that maybe, one of the messages that we'll send out is video surveillance. One of the obstacles that we're running into is nobody has video cameras, or if they do, they don't record. So in a lot of cases, we would have been able to solve a crime had there been recordings of the things as they happen. So, like I said, in the last 30 days, we've had 53 traffic complaints, which is anything from speeding to accident or anything like that. That was our biggest one. General assistant was our second one with 23 occurrences, and that could be just, what do I do in this case to, I want to kick somebody out. Bylaws were the third one with 22 occurrences, and that's animal calls like dogs barking or so on and so forth. Suspicious person was next with 13. Again, suspicious person could be anything like, oh, there's somebody in my neighborhood that doesn't belong there. We go there and it's just a visitor. So those were the biggest one. We've had, again, 3 impaired investigation at were the roadside suspensions. So if you look at the last quarter versus what we've done in the last 30 days, last quarter's was 5, we've got 3 already this month. So we're going to be focusing on that a lot more. One thing that seems to be on the increase is mental health calls. We've had 4 or 5 in the last 30 days. So that takes times away from us, but there doesn't seem to be any resources in the area, and we have to take them to Calgary or Lethbridge. But that's out of our control. I'm not sure if it's due to COVID or if it's due to, people being isolated for the last little while and now going out again, but we see a sharp increase, and not just around here, that's pretty well province-wide. Any questions?
Councillor Kettles, you had a question?
I just had a question, Corporal, about support for our bylaw officers. Are there a lot of calls where they need your support when they go out and do things, or what's your impression of that? You mentioned that had gone up, or seemed to be a little bit higher than what you would expect.
What we're doing is a lot of calls that we're getting, instead of us responding, we'll defer to the bylaw officers. And in some cases, yes, we've had to go and help them just to keep the peace. So it's not a huge increase. I mean, like the numbers for bylaws, I think were 22, but again, some of that is not just the bylaw officers. It's some of the things that we're going to be looking at ourselves.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any further questions? Well, we appreciate you coming in and giving us an update, and thank you for all that you do. And welcome to Claresholm.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to our action items. Bylaw 1741, residential tax refund bylaw, second and third readings. Abe?
So council had first reading of the residential tax refund bylaw at last council meeting. The purpose of this bylaw is to encourage development, and there are 2 areas within this bylaw where developers and builders can receive tax refunds on the municipal portion of their taxes. One is where areas have been subdivided up to 20 lots at least, rather. Those people who subdivide land can have refunds on their property taxes as outlined in the bylaw for up to 3 years. The other group of people that this applies to is infills or newly created or developed lots where there is an actual development building on the property. Those properties will qualify for tax refunds for 3 years as well, and the specific percentages are outlined in the bylaw. This bylaw came out of the Community Development Committee. It's been vetted by legal, and so it is here for second and third readings.
We'll open it up for discussion. Councillor Kettles.
So I understand if a developer develops 20 lots, has 20 lots, and so they can apply for 3 years. Does the person then, the homeowner who eventually buys one of those lots and starts building, they also get, so we could be a discounted rate for maybe up to 6 years. Am I understanding that right? I'm not understanding that right.
No, so the, once the lot is sold, the developer can have the tax relief for that for a few years. Once the lot is sold, yeah, the homeowner can,
For 1 year, because he has to develop within 1 year.
Yes, but it's still 3
So
years
then
worth of.
he builds a house, sells it, now the homeowner gets relief for 2 years.
Okay, so we're capping out at 3 years, or?
Yeah.
Okay, the math works, okay, I trust the committee that they work through that.
Yep.
I think essentially what we said was if a developer comes in and there's one parcel of land, once they develop it into those 20 lots, it's a large increase of taxes. So we'd give them those tax incentive increases to lower it, just to, encourage a developer to come in, subdivide. And then once those houses, each land, once it has that overvalue of 200,000, then we can look at that, because then it encourages them not only to subdivide, but then to build on top of it.
Okay.
Correct? All right. Any further discussion with it? So we're looking for second reading on this. Anyone?
I'll make that motion for the second reading.
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger. Question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to give bylaw number 1741 a residential tax refund bylaw, second reading.
Any further questions, comments, or concerns? All in favor? Passed. Looking for a third and final reading.
Third.
Moved by Councillor Carlson. Question?
Moved by Councillor Carlson to give bylaw number 1741 a residential tax refund bylaw, third and final reading.
Any further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Moving on to bylaw 1746, road closure. First reading. Abe?
So last council meeting, we discussed our potential of a road closure bylaw, and specifically this is on Westland Drive. This is a walkway that the town owns adjacent to the golf course, and the homeowners on either side of the walkway are interested in acquiring each half of the walkway. And so the council was agreeable to allowing the homeowners to acquire the walkway, provided that they covered all the costs involved with the surveying and what have you for their properties. The town doesn't have any use for this walkway anymore, and so operations has said they're okay with transferring this walkway. And so in order to do that, we need to have a road closure bylaw. And so this road closure bylaw is on the agenda for first reading. After first reading, there will be a public hearing, as is standard practice, and residents will have the opportunity to come forward and express any concerns about that, after which point in time, the bylaw will go up to the Minister of Transportation for approval and then eventually come back to council for second and third readings.
All right, open it up for discussion.
I'll make a motion to give the bylaw 1746, road closure bylaw, first reading.
Moved by Councillor Meister. Question?
Moved by Councillor Meister to give bylaw number 1746, a road closure bylaw, first reading.
Further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Moving on, correspondence. Honorable Ron Orr, Minister of Culture, Community Facility Enhancement Program, CFEP Small. Abe?
Yeah, so some good news here. The Community Center Association has been successful with their grant application to the Community Facility Enhancement Program. If you recall, they came to us last year or early this year, I think it was last year actually, requesting the town's support. They were going to apply for this grant opportunity to improve accessibility at the community center and put a fair bit of lipstick around the foyer entrance area. And so they were successful. The council has approved the matching funds for this in the 2023 capital budget. And so this is good news. This project can proceed now.
Open it up for any comments, discussion? Nope. I'll take it for information at this point, and congrats to the community center. Moving on, correspondence, Minister of Justice, new website on the future of provincial policing. Sorry, Babe?
Yeah, Mayor, basically just what you said. This is some correspondence from the Minister of Justice. We've had a lot of conversation about policing in the province, and as we know, the province is looking to actively researching a provincial police force. And so they've released their own website to provide information to Albertans on their activity and research and thoughts, comments, and concerns on that. So just an invite to check out the website from the Minister of Justice. And they have said no decisions have been made on whether Alberta will transition to a provincial police force.
Open this up for any discussion?
We'd
Thoughts?
just be beating at the bush if we discuss this
Mhm.
anymore.
So if everyone's in agreement, we can take it for information at this moment in time and move on. Number 6, number 5, sorry, correspondence, Ministry of Justice, article on policing from the former Attorney General of British Columbia. Abe?
So more of the same, just drawing attention to an op-ed written by an individual named Wally Opal on some positive, or rather Wally Opal's opinions on positive aspects of going to provincial police services.
Open that for discussion. Take it for information at this moment. Moving on, number 6, correspondence, Alberta Transportation. Possible meeting with the minister at AUMA or AM convention. Abe?
Yeah, so you can see, Council, the time period for getting back to them has come and gone. There wasn't a big window there for us to actually connect with Council and talk about this, but there is an invitation to talk to the Transportation Minister at the Alberta Municipalities Conference. We're a couple days past the deadline, but if Council wants, I'm sure we can probably send a request out. Or for that matter, if there are any other ministers or messages that Council would like us to take any meetings they would request with any ministers at Municipal Affairs. You can do that right now, have that conversation and direct us accordingly. Last year, council had requested that we speak to Municipal Affairs on the Code of Conduct, specifically related to Alberta Transportation, previous requests that council has made back in 2018. The town of Clarisholm looked to extend the 70-kilometer-hour zone 200 meters on the north and the south of Highway 2. That was a specific conversation. And in 2017, council requested for a traffic signal warrant analysis at Highway 2 and 520 regarding crosswalk, I think.
No, they actually
Oh.
wanted a light.
Oh, a light in there. And so those are the previous motions from council to Alberta Transport.
Open this up for discussion. I don't think so. Don't believe so. Sorry.
It's a waste of time.
I don't think there's anything.
They don't listen to you anyway.
I don't think there's anything pressing enough right now to have a conversation with the transportation.
I sat in with both meetings with transportation. They tell you what's gonna happen, and that's it. End of story.
No, last time we talked about the code of conduct, I don't think there's a need for it this year.
If something does come up, we can try and track them down in an unofficial meeting and voice our concerns after the fact if.
Minister of Justice, you can educate us on provincial police force.
That's what the website's for.
All right, go.
Yeah, we can take this for information at this point, and if something comes up in the near future, we can let it be known and try and address it while we're up there as well, so. Take it for information and move on. Moving on, correspondence. Alberta Municipalities and Culture and Status of Women. Alberta Day 2022, Expression of Interest Guidelines. Abe?
So there is September 1st. The government has established September 1st as Alberta Day in perpetuity. Alberta Day is a chance to celebrate who we are as Albertans and what we can achieve together. And so Municipal Affairs, or the government of Alberta, has feathered out this request for municipalities to celebrate Alberta Day through Alberta municipalities. That's why this correspondence is coming out through them. There are grants available for Clarisholm. The grant would be $5,000. If we were looking to celebrate, there's some guidelines and some recommendations on how to celebrate that. I would suggest that we are a little tapped out after our recent town festivities to go into planning another day. But that's there for your information and conversation.
I believe we're past the deadline, are we not? August 12th?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah, they didn't give much time to put anything together, so. Open it for questions, comments. Everyone's in agreement to take it for information at this moment in time and move on?
Yep.
Moving on, number 8. Correspondence, Ukrainian Canadian Congress, Alberta Provincial Council, Ukrainian Independence Day 2022, and Alberta Ukrainian Canadian Heritage Day. Abe?
Yeah, it's an invitation to celebrate those days. This organization, Ukrainian organization, is asking municipalities to either raise a Ukrainian flag or recognize Ukraine in some way on their Independence Day and their Heritage Days. Generally, council's approach to requests for these kinds of things are that we stay neutral in all of these public showings of support, so we don't just to stay neutral generally. I'm not sure if council feels this one's a little bit different. But again, normally when we receive requests like this, we just respond by saying thank you, but that's not in our practice to do that.
Open this up for discussion. Council would like to remain neutral on these topics across the board? All right. If you don't mind sending back that correspondence to them, and we can just take it for information at this point in time. And move on. Number 9, media release, Walk to Breathe 2022. Gabe?
So Walk to Breathe is a fundraising event for Alberta Lung. Alberta Lung is an organization that provides advocacy and research and just support for health in matters of respiratory issues and lung disease. Last year, council actually carried a motion to support this walk as it came through Claire's home or visited Claire's home, and we did that. This year, it looks like the organizer of the event has had some physical ailments and is coordinating a virtual walk rather than a physical walk. And so there's just some information on that and the virtual nature of the event. They're looking for some volunteers, just some general information about that. So that's there for your information.
Open it up for discussion. Any interest? Everyone's in agreement? We'll take this for information at this point in time. We'll move on. Number 10, correspondence, Calgary Region Airshed Zone, i.e. Air Quality Management Toolkit. Abe?
Yeah, so if you recall, council, we joined the Calgary Regional Airshed Zone. We are a paying member, subscribing member of that group. They do have different branches. One of their branches of interests is municipal governments that they have seats reserved for on their board, as well as specific tools for municipal governments to improve air quality and basically improve air quality outcomes within their zone. This is quite a lengthy report, a lot of good information in there. So I guess what I would say is if council, if you came across anything interesting, or if you would like an actual summary of how this would relate to Claire's home, we'll take a motion on that. Otherwise, you can accept it for information.
Open it up for discussion. Councillor Cutler.
Was this the program that they were going to bring down and put a couple meters up in our buildings, and that's still in process and
They're up.
they are up?
Yep.
Okay, good, yeah.
Where is it located?
It's underneath the soffits on the building here.
Okay.
We've lost, we're just actually getting internet shut down on it, so it's not actively working at the moment, but we'll get that fixed and get that back up and running. And the MD has one as well.
Right, great.
Great. Any other comments, questions? Take it for information then. Moving on, correspondence, Burn 24/7 Calgary, worship and prayer. Request to use Centennial Park tables and chairs. Abe?
Yeah, just pulling that up here.
97 pages down.
Yeah. Here it is. Okay, so the Claire's Home Pentecostal Assembly is looking to organize a family gospel festival on September 3rd. They're looking to locate over at Centennial on September 3rd, starting at 12 noon till 4 p.m. So they've got outlined here, they've got bouncy castles, they've got a stage, they've got some tents, they might have some food trucks, they'll have some face painting. We would normally just approve this group as a nonprofit to use the park. We have a policy in place that encourages this kind of park usage. However, they have asked for they have asked for chairs and tables. And so that is something that we would like a motion on, as we have a policy in place for that. And so we don't have any concerns with this event, and again, with this group using that, this tables and chairs, so we're just looking for a motion for council to approve that.
And open this up for discussion. Comments, concerns?
I'll make a motion to approve the use of tables and chairs.
Moved by Counselor Cutler. Question?
Moved by Counselor Cutler to allow the Clarisson Pentecostal Assembly and the Burn 24/7 Calvary Worship and Prayer to use Centennial Park on Saturday, September 3rd, 2022, from 12 noon until 4 p.m., and to allow the use of the town tables and chairs as per policy 5.8.20 at no cost.
Further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Moving on, request for decision, office closure for functional exercise. Abe?
Yeah, so we are going to be doing a regional emergency management functional exercise in October 4th, 5th, and 6th. And the MD, the town of Fort Macleod, the town of Claresholm, Nanton, and Staveley will all be participating in that exercise. And so it's a pretty significant event. We are required legislatively to have these functional, not regional ones, but have a functional exercise, kind of dry run emergency management exercise every 4 years. And so this is going to meet that requirement for us. Because it is such an extensive exercise, we are requesting that we be allowed to close the office on the 5th, October the 5th, to allow all of our staff who have received training to participate and give their full attention to that functional exercise. We feel that would maximize that this opportunity to go through a dry run of a disaster in the area. And operations will still be running, just the front doors we request that they would be closed so we can give attention to that exercise. Of course, if council approved, we would notify the public accordingly with messaging.
Open this up for discussion. Just gonna say, I sit in on this meeting, and I think it would be really vital to have it shut down for the day to allow everyone to
I'll
go through
make
with
that
this.
motion.
Moved by Counselor Meister. Question?
Moved by Counselor Meister. Oh, just a minute, sorry. Moved by Counselor Meister to approve the closure of the Town of Claresholm Administration Office on October 5th, 2022 for a regional emergency management functional exercise.
Any further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Moving on, financial report, statement of operations, June 30th, 2022. Abe?
Just for your information, council, these are the finances as of June 30th, 2022.
Open it up for discussion. Counselor Kettles?
On your note number 1, that number's high because we haven't had to send off the education portion yet, is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there some way that we could get that sussed out or, know what that amount is so that we could, this has been a very high number now for a number of sessions here, and I'm unclear of where we're really at when we have such a large number, kind of.
Sure, we can get that information for you.
Any other questions or comments with the financial statement? Looking for a motion to approve it. Moved by Counselor Schlossberger. Any other questions, sorry? Oh, no, any other questions, comments, concerns? Question?
Moved by Counselor Schlossberger to accept the consolidated statement of operations for the month ended June 30th, 2022 as presented.
All in favor? Passed. Moving on, information brief, stormwater project, ACRP funding. Abe?
Yeah, just updating council that on the completion of the phase 1 of the stormwater infrastructure project is complete. The significant grant funding that administration was able to secure to improve the town's resiliency in times of flood. So the town was able to get several $1 million to improve ditching and drainage along the west side of town on 8th Street, and to build some storm retention ponds and increase the flow of storm water through town, through the golf course and then out into those ponds. And as well, get a little bit of work done with this funding as well on Phase 2, on the Phase 2 portion of that project, getting some approved plans for the second phase. And so that grant was officially closed, and we thought it would be a good idea to just notify the community and notify council of the great work that was done, and how it was millions of dollars of funding to improve the town's resiliency. And so that Phase 1 is now closed.
Open this for discussion. Any comments, concerns? We'll take it for information at this moment. Move on. Information brief. Social needs assessment. Abe?
So we will be having some community engagement sessions for the ongoing social needs assessment. If you recall, either last meeting or the meeting before that, we had an announcement about an online survey, just assessing the social needs in the community as well as over in Grantham. The next phase of that assessment is an in-person engagement session, and so that happens September 7th. And there's 3 separate sessions throughout the day. I'll be contacting different people and stakeholders throughout the town to participate and to inform that assessment. And we just thought it would be good information to get out to council that that's coming up. And we'll start circulating and bringing awareness. The more information, the more people we can get out to these sessions, the more reliable the information is. The deliverable, again, on that social needs assessment, the housing assessment, affordable housing strategy, that deliverable is still on target for beginning to mid-October.
Open this up for discussion. Questions, comments, concerns? Take it for information at this point. Moving on, information brief, council committee reports. Would any councilor like to expand on any of the reports at this time? I haven't had a chance to review them. Can take those for information. Moving on, information brief, CAO report. Abe?
Yeah, just a report from the town departments on what the activity that they've been up to in the last, it's been a couple of months. The last one was in June. Any questions or comments? Otherwise, it's just an information, there for your information.
And up for discussion. All right. Take it for information. Moving on, information brief, council resolution status. Abe? Again,
Update on direction and resolutions from council meetings and where we're at with some of those. Any questions on status there?
any questions? We will take it for information at this time. Moving on, adoption of the information items. Everyone had a chance to review. Moved by Councillor Cutler. Question?
Moved by Councillor Cutler to adopt the information items as presented.
Further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Looking for a motion to go in camera for land FOIP section 16, B, land FOIP section 16, C, land section FOIP 16, D, land FOIP section 27, E, advice from officials FOIP section 24, F, confidential evaluations FOIP section 19, and G, personnel FOIP section 17. Moved by Councillor Kettles. I don't know if you need a question for that?
Moved by Counselor Kettles to go on camera at 7:47 for the following items, as you already listed. I won't.
Thank you. All in favor?
Thanks.
Pass. Camera off. Looking for a motion to come out of camera at 8:44 PM. Moved by Counselor Cutler to come out of camera. Questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Looking for a request for decision for.
I've got it.
Sorry.
I've got it.
Land section. I told you I thought I was gonna do better for you guys. Request for decision for Tamarack lots and offer to purchase. Thank you. Moved by Counselor Cutler to accept the offer in the amount of 17,500. Question?
Moved by Counselor Cutler to accept the offer in the amount of $17,500 submitted by Southline Real Estate Limited for the property located at Lot 2, Block 117, Plan 8010781, subject to obtaining a development permit within 1 year from the date of title transfer.
Any further questions, comments, or concerns? All in favor? Passed. Looking for another motion to accept, moved by Counselor Schlossberger to accept the offer in the amount of 17,500. Question?
Moved by Counselor Schlossberger to accept the offer in the amount of $17,500 submitted by Southline Real Estate Limited for the property located at Lot 3, Block 117, Plan 8010781, subject to obtaining a development permit within 1 year from the date of title transfer.
Any further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Moving on for a request for decision, offer to purchase airport lands. Moved by Counselor Carlson to accept the offer in the amount of $17,333. 330. Thank you, $330. Question?
Moved by Counselor Carlson to accept the offer in the amount of $17,330 submitted by Jacob Dunn and Candace Dunn for the property located at Lot 6, Block 4, Plan 7910032, and Lot 3, Block 6, Plan 7910032.
Any further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Looking for a motion to, moved by Counselor Kettles to accept the offer in the amount of $45,800. Question?
Moved by Counselor Kettles to accept the offer in the amount of $45,800 submitted by Jacob Dunn and Candace Dunn for their property located at Lot 9, Block 4, Plan 7910032.
Further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Moving on, request for decision. Offer to purchase 359 43rd Avenue West.
Make the motion.
So move by Counselor Meister
To accept the offer and
to
the amount of
counter offer.
270,
Or no, yeah,
subject to revised conditions.
thank you. Question?
Moved by Counselor Meister to accept the offer in the amount of $270,000 for the property located at Block 4, Plan 7610058, subject to revised conditions.
Any further questions, comments, or concerns? All in favor? Passed. Moving on to request for decision, RFP Adamson Park Plaza Project. Moved by Counselor Cutler. Question?
Moved by Counselor Cutler to award the contract for the demolition and construction of the concrete plaza at Amundsen Park to Premier Builders in the amount of $348,998.26 plus GST.
Any further questions, comments, or concerns? All in favor? Passed. Any opposed? One opposed. Moved. Moving on to Request for decision, Westeros Ave Rehabilitation Project. Moved by Counselor Schlossberger. Question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to approve the additional budget for the West Rose Avenue Rehabilitation Project by $70,000 to a total of $740,000, and amend funding for the project to $230,000 from Water Sewer Capital Reserve and $510,000 from MSI Capital.
Any further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. And moving on to, apologies,
This is
the,
appointment for a CRAS board representative.
thank you. Looking for a motion to appoint the CRAS representative.
I'll make a motion to appoint Cynthia Wanamaker to the CRAS Airshed Zone Group. I guess that's
Thank you.
part of the.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Meister to
Oh my.
appoint Cynthia Wanamaker to be the Town of Claresholm's representative on the Calgary Region Airshed Zone.
Any further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Looking for a motion. So quick tonight, sorry. Looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Moved by Councillor Carlson. All in favor? Meeting adjourned at 8:51 PM. Camera off.